Hey boys and girls, this is Mrs. Smith and I'm going to go over the answer key to our spiral review homework for week 8. So I'm going to go ahead and start with Monday. And so number 1, it says put these fractions in order from least to greatest. So I have 3/8 and 1/5 in fraction form, and then I have a picture of another fraction where 1 out of 3 parts are shaded. So I need to take these 3 numbers or 3 fractions and put them in order from least to greatest. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at these 2 fractions, 1/3 and 1/5, because they have a common numerator. And I know that when I'm comparing fractions, a common numerator means that I look at the denominator. And I know that the bigger the number, the bigger the number, the smaller the piece. So I know that 1/5 is the smallest. Okay, so now I'm going to come over here to 3/8 and 1/3, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write 3/8 and 1/3, and I'm going to find a common denominator so that I can compare them both. So the common denominator is 24. Because I do my skip counting, I find the least common multiple, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, and then 8, 16, 24. And so I'm going to multiply 3 times 8 to get 24. So 1 times 8 is 8. And 8 times 3 is 24. So 3 times 3 is 9. So 3/8 is the larger of the 2 fractions. So that means that 1/3 comes second and 3/8 comes last. So that is the order from least to greatest. Number 2, it says Andrea sold 41 pounds of strawberries for $3.75 a pound. About how much money did she make from selling strawberries? So about means that I'm going to round. And she sold 41 pounds. So if I had like 41 circles and each one was $3.75, that means I'm multiplying. So $3.75 times 41. Now, we don't want the real answer. We want an estimate. So we're going to round to the nearest dollar. So I'm going to round to the nearest dollar. And the 7 tells my 3 to round up to $4. And I'm going to times that by 41. So I'm going to come over here and change it up because this is not how we would write a proper multiplication problem. We would put 41 times 4. Now you can solve it area model if you wish. I'm going to solve it the traditional algorithm because that is the way that I was taught and that's my superpower. And I'm going to go 4 times 1 is 4 and 4 times 4 is 16. So the answer is Andrea made about $164 selling strawberries. Number 3, it says single step word problem. There are 14 students on the running team and each student runs 28 miles a week. How many miles in all does the team run each week? So I'm going to understand. There's 14 students and each runs 28 miles per week. All right, and we want to know total miles for the team. So total team miles. Total team miles. So my plan is going to take 14, the 14 team members, and times it by 28 because each team member ran 28 miles. So it'd be 28 plus 28 plus 28 plus 28 14 times. So I'm going to come over here to my solve and I'm going to use area model. And area model means that I expand 14 into 10 plus 4 and I expand 28 into 20 plus 8. So I'm going to make my area model box. All right. I have 4 windows because I have 20 plus 8 and I have 10 plus 4. All right. And I'm going to do 10 times 20. So that's 200. And 8 times 10, which is 80. And then 20 times 4, which is 80. And 4 times 8, which is 32. Now this is a word problem, boys and girls, so I can use my calculator. So I'm going to use my calculator to add up my area models. So I have 20, oh, I'm sorry, wait a minute, clear. I have 200 plus 80 plus 80 plus 32. And that equals 392. So my answer is they ran 392 miles each week. And that is the answer to Monday's spiral review. All right, let's move on to Tuesday. It says Tuesday, day or problem 1, it says draw a model to show 1 4/5. A model is a picture representation. So I noticed that this is a mixed number. And a mixed number is a whole and a fractional part. So my fractional part is fifths. So I'm going to take a circle and I'm going to divide it into fifths. Let's see. Let's see here. Now, you know what? I don't want to use a circle. Circles are hard for fifths. So I'm actually going to use a rectangular model. So I'm going to take a rectangle and I'm going to draw an identical rectangle underneath it because I have to have my whole and my fractional parts. And I'm going to divide it into fifths. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then just do the same thing underneath. Okay, it doesn't have to be beautiful, but it should be kind of almost similar. And I'm going to shade in one whole model to show the one whole. And then my fractional part, I'm going to shade in 4 out of 5. And so this right here is 1 whole and 4/5, which is 1 4/5. That's how you would draw a model of a mixed number. Number 2, it says Logan mowed lawns every day for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. He made $57 each day. How much money did he make mowing the lawns over those 2 weeks? So my understanding is he made $57 a day each day for 2 weeks. And so I know that there are 7 days in a week. So that means if 2 weeks were worth, it's 14 days. Okay? He mowed every day for 2 weeks. So my plan is to multiply 57 times 14. That's my plan. All right, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to make my box. I'm going to do 50 plus 7 and 10 plus 4 because that's how I make my area model box. Okay, and so 10 times 50 is 500. 10 times 7 is 70. 50 times 4 is 200. And 4 times 7 is 28. So I'm going to use my calculator, and I'm going to go ahead and add that up. 500 plus 70 is 570 plus 200 is 900 or 770, and then add 28. And the answer is $798. Logan made $798. Number 3, it says which metric unit would be best used to find the capacity of a bathtub? And so you gotta think, a bathtub, right? Rub-a-dub-dub, get clean in the tub, right? It's pretty big, right? So millimeter, milliliter, liter, and kilogram. So let's just focus on the metric measurements. We have meter, we have liter, we have liter, or we have gram, okay? So metric, okay, is a new concept for you, perhaps. Metric is, meters is like distance, liters is liquid, and grams is weight, like how heavy something is. So right away, I can go to millimeter and kilogram, because that's not gonna, I don't measure distance of water, and I don't measure the weight of water. So that leaves me with milliliter and liter. And the prefix milli means tiny. So tiny amount of liquid or a regular amount of liquid. So the answer is going to be liter. I would use liters to measure the amount of water in a bathtub. Let's move on to Wednesday. Wednesday, it says write 2 fractions that are equivalent to the fraction shown on the number line, okay? So 1/4, 2/4, 3/4 says write 2 fractions that are equivalent to the fractions shown on the number line. Okay, so I have this number line, right? It's divided into 4 equal parts, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what if I were to divide each of those parts in half? And now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 parts. So this would be 1/8. This would be 2/8. This would be 3/8. This would be 4/8. This would be 5/8. This would be 6/8. And this would be 7/8. So the equivalent fractions are 1/4 and 2/8, 2/4 and 4/8, and 3/4 and 6/8. Now you can come up with some other fractions, and if you want, you can email them to your teacher and they can decide if you are right, or you can check yourself with models, or you can, for a shortcut, do a butterfly. Okay, number 2, find the quotient. Quotient means the answer to a division problem. So I am going to use long division. 392 divided by 4, because 4 is a single digit divisor. So the steps for long division are divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, and then repeat or rover. So I'm going to look. 4 cannot divide into 3 because it's smaller than the divisor. So it's 0 times 4 is 0. Subtract. I'm left with 3. Bring down the 9. 4 times what number gets me close to 39? That would be 9. 9 times 4 is 36. I subtract, I'm left with 3. Bring down the 2. 4 times 8 is 32. I subtract, I'm left with 0. So the quotient is 98. That's the answer. Number 3 for Wednesday, it says the Gilmores had 472 pieces of candy to put in a plastic egg. If they put 5 pieces of candy in each egg, how many eggs could they fill completely? All right, so here's what I know, I understand. There's 472 pieces of candy. So there's 472 candies, and they want to put 5 in an egg. And so the question is, how many eggs? The plan, since I'm taking a large amount and I'm kind of parceling out 5 pieces each, is going to be to divide 472 divided by 5. So I'm going to do my plan, okay? This is my plan. So I'm going to take 5, my divisor, and divide it into 472, okay? So I know my 5s. 5 cannot divide into 4, so that's 0. 0 times 5 is 0. I subtract, I'm left with 4. Bring down the 7. 7, let's see, 47. When I count by 5s, 5 times 9 is 45. So I'm going to subtract, and I'm left with 2. Now I'm going to bring down the 2. 5 times what number gets me close to 22? That is 4. That's 20. And I'm left with 2. So the question was, how many eggs could they fill completely? So my answer is 94 remainder 2, but I have to decide if I want to keep the remainder or not based on the question. It says, how many eggs could they fill completely? They don't want to know how much is left. And they don't have enough. This remainder 2 tells me they don't have enough for another egg. So this is an example of where I would get rid of or ignore the remainder. And the real answer is 94 eggs. 94 eggs. All right, that's Wednesday. Let's try Thursday. All right, ordering fractions. It says Austin, James, and Emma each spent a different amount of time doing math homework last night. Their times are shown in the table. Put the students in order from the largest amount of time, so greatest, to least amount of time spent on homework. All right, so this I'm going to need some extra paper. So I'm going to use the back of Wednesdays. So I have 2/8, I have 9/10, and I have 3/5. All right, so I need to decide greatest to least. All right, so I look at them, and the first thing I want to do is see if there's anything close to 1. So I'm going to make a number line here. Okay, you can't see it. Now you can. All right, so here's 0, here's 1, here's 1/2. Okay, I want to see if there's any that are greater than 1/2 or closest to 1. Let's start with that. So this 2/8, I am 6 pieces away from being 1 whole. And this one, 9/10, I am 1/10 away from being 1 whole. And this, I'm 2 pieces away from being 1 whole. So 9/10 is actually the greatest. So 9/10 is first. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that. So now I'm going to look to see if I can figure out if something is greater than or less than 1/2. So I look at my denominator, 8. Half of 8 is 4. So half of 8 is 4. So if I divide that by 2, right? 2 divided by 2 is 1. So 1/4. Well, I know 1/4 is less than 1/2. So 2/8 is going to go right about here. And then the last one is 3/5. So 1/2 in fifths, equivalent to 1/2 would be 5/10. This is 1/2, right? They are the same thing. And 3/5 is less than 1/2. So actually 3/5 and 10ths would be 6/10. So it's greater than 1/2. So 3/5 would go right about here. So based on what I've come up with, the answer in order from least to greatest The largest amount of time to, or greatest to least, would be James. He spent the most amount of time because he worked 9/10 of an hour. And then would come 3/5, which is Emma. She worked a little bit more than half of an hour. And then Austin, who finished his work in about 2/8 of an hour. So that is the correct answer. Number 2, divide. I'm going to go ahead and divide this out using long division. I got 485 divided by 8. I know my 8s, 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64, 72. Okay. All right. So I'm going to divide. My first number is a 4. Digit is 4. I cannot divide, so that's 0. 0 times 8 is 0. I subtract. I bring down the 8. Now I look over here. 8 times what number gets me close to 48 without going over? That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the 6th multiple. So 6 times 8 is 48. I subtract, I'm left with 0. Bring down the 5. 8 cannot divide into 5 because it's smaller, so I'm going to put a 0 up here. 8 times 0 is 0. I'm left with 5. So my answer is 60. That's the quotient with a remainder of 5. And that is my answer. Number 3 for Thursday, it says, while playing Monopoly, Emily had $4,675. Justin had $1,225 less monies than Emily. How much money did Justin have? So I'm going to understand Emily has $4,675 and Justin has $1,225 less than her. So that less than means that I'm going to subtract. So I'm going to subtract 4,675 minus 1,225, and that's going to be my plan. So when I solve it, $4,675 minus $1,225, I subtract. 5 minus 5 is 0, 7 minus 2 is 5, 6 minus 2 is 4, and 4 minus 1 is 3. So Justin had $3,450. And Friday, we finally made it to the end of the week. It says, Heather put 8 containers of yogurt on each shelf in the refrigerator, and there are already 7 packages of cheese on each shelf in the refrigerator. How many total items are on all 4 shelves of the refrigerator? So on a shelf, right? This is what I see. There are 8 yogurts and 7 packages of cheese. On each shelf. And there are 4 shelves. Okay? So, and the question is total items. So, this is a multi-step problem. So the first thing I need to do is know how much food is on each shelf. So I'm going to take the 8 yogurts plus the 7 packages of cheese. And then I'm going to get a total. We'll call that S. And then the second thing I'm going to need to do is take that total S and multiply it by the 4 shelves to get my answer. So first thing I'm going to do is take 8 containers of yogurt and the 7 packages of cheese and add that up. And that is 15. Second thing I need to do is take 15 times 4. So I'm going to make an area model box. I'm going to divide it in half. I have 10 plus 5, because that's 15, expanded, times 4. 10 times 4 is 40. 4 times 5 is 20. So I add that up, 40 plus 20, that's 60. So answer, there is 60 items of food in the refrigerator. And that is the answer key for our week 7 spiral review. Thanks for watching. See you next week.